your body can only take so much, at least my body only could. And that's when I felt my heart stop. I lost my human body. Well, am I dead? If you only knew. There is no such thing as death. Not scary, just dark. There's no pain. There's no fear. You're showing this to a human. And in front of me is this scroll, and it's unrolled. And on it is this beautiful, sparkly golden script. I watched it grow back with binary code. I felt 7 beings behind me.
Welcome everyone to Our Sliver of Time. Today we have a very special guest. Thank you so much, Bri, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Would you mind telling us what led to this near-death experience in the first place?
So I had a lifetime of a rare chronic illness, a neurological movement disorder. And when I say a lifetime, the symptoms really started noticeably at 10, and it just increasingly got worse and worse and worse for the next 15 years. That combined with, I also dealt with a lot of paranormal and metaphysical activity that was really difficult for me to understand. I didn't know too many other people who had these experiences. My church said one thing, I was experiencing another. Trying to combat the paranormal and my chronic illness led to just a situation of unfortunate events that led to my heart stopping for 8 minutes in 2017.
So what was the actual events that happened that led to your heart stopping? Was it like a sudden thing?
So leading up to my heart stopping, I had been exhausted. My illness, the chronic illness, had gotten very bad. I wasn't sleeping. I was sleeping maybe a couple hours a night every few nights. So 2 or 3 days with zero sleep whatsoever, plus a ton of pain. So my body is just super fatigued. So I have physical fatigue ongoing. That's just getting worse. Then I delve into some spirit release therapy, and that stirs up a whole crazy mess on my spiritual side, emotional side, and mental side. So I come down with a flu on top of my chronic illness, on top of the paranormal stuff I was experiencing. I'm not sleeping. So basically, it came together in a whirlwind of exhaustion. And your body can only take so much, at least my body only could. I'd been fighting a multitude of these things for 15 years. Then you add the flu on top of it, and I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. I was TMI, married to the bathroom. And that was over a course of a couple of weeks. And the last 3 days were really, really difficult. Not only did my body give up, but absolutely every part of me gave up. I could no longer continue with life in any form of it. I cannot do it spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I gave up. And what I mean by that is I called out to whoever God might be. I didn't know at the time. I said, I cannot do this anymore. It's in your hands. And I meant that with every ounce of everything I had. And that is when I felt like it felt like really 3 hard pounds on my chest. And that's when I felt my heart stop. And that is the moment I left my body and began my near-death experience.
Your heart stops. Of course, this must have been, I presume it was, must have been a bit scary. It doesn't seem like a fun situation. But when you do leave your body and have this near-death experience, what was it like? What did you see? Did it feel like anything?
Yeah. So leading up to my near-death experience was, like most others, very traumatic, very scary, very exhausting. And when I cried out, it was just basically, I don't even care what happens next. Like, I'm not trying anymore. And then I heard, "Are you ready?" And I knew something that answered me. And that's when I said yes. I didn't even hesitate to ponder what I was ready for. And that's when I felt my heart stop. And then I was immediately separated from my body. I was separated from anything I knew about Earth or my body or this person named Bri. I was just in complete darkness. It was all black, but it was not empty. It was just full of energy. I think sometimes that the light was so bright it had collapsed in on itself, or that it was even faster energy than light. And that's why there was no light, because it was absolutely full of everything, anything and everything, all possibilities, all times, every place, everyone, everything. But it looked like there was nothing, no one, no place, no thing, no time. I was not aware of this concept called time. And in this space, I saw who this God, this creator was that had come to rescue me. There was the creator. There, I was home. I was part of it. It was part of me. We're all energy. And even though I was unfamiliar with death or being a human or earth, my consciousness knew something dramatic had shifted and changed. And I just had the thought, well, am I dead? And out of the blackness come three monks, and they're sitting cross-legged, and they don't say a word. They just float by, and they give me this shit-eating grin, as if to say, if you only knew. And they don't say anything. They just kind of laugh at me and disappear back into the blackness. And I thought, oh, well, that was interesting. Okay. No answers, just interesting. It would take me 5 or 6 years after this experience to understand they were laughing because there is no such thing as death. Therefore, you cannot be a thing in which does not exist. You cannot be dead because death isn't a thing. So that's why they're laughing. But I didn't know at the time. After that, I entered this brilliant, wonderful, bright blue tunnel. And in this tunnel, it's filled with ones and zeros. And I'm going through it at supersonic speed and being downloaded with just information. I still don't have a body. I am still just a soul, but I'm being downloaded with amazing information. Don't know what it is. I just know it's amazing. I then end up in this very bright white space. It's not really a room because there's no features of what we call a room, but it's white space, wide open. This is the only time in my experience I've got a human-like body. And in front of me is a huge pile of black numbers. And behind me, I can feel the presence of an ascended master teacher. I don't know who it is exactly, but due to my upbringing, I've got ideas, but I just know he's an ascended master teacher. And I grab this pile of numbers and throw it up in the air with childlike enthusiasm. No wonder you love creating, because I realized the universe is created with math. And to this day, I still don't know why I was so excited about that. More of a artsy person, more so than a math nerd. So I don't quite understand why I was so excited.
Do you think maybe part of the reason you were so excited was because you had kind of figured something out, like figuring out that the universe was mathematical in nature, to like solve a puzzle or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, getting the information of great importance about how our universe is made and how our reality is constructed was absolutely exciting. I guess I was probably more excited about the fact I had achieved that knowledge rather than the knowledge itself, that it was math. But math happened so much in my experience with the binary code and the math, or the universe is created with math, that it's just kind of, I feel a little ironic because some people hear, music and, beautiful melodies and voices and just the most magnificent music they've ever heard. And some people say they saw the most vivid, beautiful flowers and food and, all this stuff. And it usually relates a little bit to what they like here on Earth. And that just was not my experience. So I think that's why I laugh at it.
What happens next?
So after I throw up the numbers with childlike enthusiasm because I've just understood some important part to our universe, I end up in a place that is reminiscent of Earth, even though I'm still unfamiliar with Earth and human and this person named Bri. But looking back, it's very reminiscent. What I mean by that is we had trees, utility poles. It seemed like there could have been gravity. Everyone was walking on the ground for the most part, except for when I saw some beings sliding down snow-covered trees, and I thought, well, that looks fun. I don't think I like snow. So instantly the trees turned to lush green and I'm sliding down them like I'm Tarzan, and these trees are huge. And I look over and see that another being is sliding down next to me, but I get the thought, well, oh, what if they like snow? What if they're experiencing snow while I'm experiencing green and we're experiencing this simultaneously but different? And in my head, it was not this huge conundrum. It was just cool. There was another point, and I lost my human body again at this point. So I had been this kind of weird doll for a little bit. I just don't have a better description of what I mean yet. These kind of like doll looking bodies. I was a robotic body. I was a snowman body. Yes, I get the irony. I just said I didn't like snow, and yet I was a snowman. I do get the irony. I tried to fly. So when I said everyone was kind of walking, some beings were flying, and I thought I'd give it a go. I was terrible at it. I severed my arm on a utility pole, but there's no pain. There was no fear. There was no, oh no, it was just more curiosity like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. And I watched it grow back with binary code. Once again, just, oh, cool, and went on my merry way. There were some other points where as soon as I had a thought, that it would happen. So I saw some other beings working on a machine with a flame out the end of it. And at this point in the experience, I'm a snowman, basically, snow creature. And I have the thought, what happens if I get too close to that fire? Will I melt? No time to think what not, or what happens if I don't, just instantly under that fire melted in a puddle of ice. Then I have the thought, will anyone put me back together? Instantly, they put me back together. So no words were ever spoken, but thoughts happened instantaneously. And we communicated with, we as in the beings, without words. We moved in unison. We moved as one sometimes. We're all very individualized, but yet collective. And that was a really cool part of my experience. But the lesson learned from that portion is really how powerful our thoughts could be. Nowadays, I understand we still create our reality with our thoughts, but we have this concept called time, which is great because there is pain and fear and torment here. So if you look across the street and say, oh no, what happens if I go across and get hit by a bus? Well, instead of ending up across the street being hit by a bus and, have severe injuries and pain or death, you have time to think, well, why don't I just not cross the street? Or why don't I look both ways before I cross? You have this time to redirect that thought and that reality. So it's actually a blessing, even though some of us who like to manifest really can get annoyed with how long it can take. There's a part in the experience towards the end in this realm where there's a barbed wire fence. The beings are kind of all gathered around it, and there's an opening, and some are going on a land bridge past the opening in the fence. I can't see what's beyond. It's blurry. I don't know what's there. I never was asked if I wanted to go, if I wanted to stay. Still not familiar from where I'd come, this earth place. I just kind of watched them walk on, and I end up in the last place of my experience. And this I would consider a room. It felt very much like a room, a dark one, but not scary, just dark. And I felt 7 beings behind me, very powerful. It's kind of like if you had a meeting with the board members at a company, it felt like that. So not as high as the owner or the founder of an organization. And then the master ascended teacher might be more of a managerial role. And then I was basically with what felt like board members. And in front of me is this scroll, and it's unrolled, and on it is this beautiful, sparkly golden script. And you think I was excited about learning the universe is created with math? This was probably 100 times more exciting and important and amazing. So my human ego that I had left behind decided to pop back in and say, you're showing this to a human. And as soon as I realized I had been in a human experience and decided to, say, well, this is great information that you're sharing with a human, like, what are you doing? And got cocky, the scroll rolled up and I was instantly back in my body. It was kind of weird to feel my heart stop, but it was such a weird feeling to feel it start again. So that was intense.